Hey folks, the other day I was talking to somebody about, what are some of the struggles that seniors are facing nowadays. So, I was kind of surprised at some of the things I was told, actually. So, I thought I'd put together a little video, do a little research, and just kind of talk about what seniors are giving up nowadays just to get by. So, first of all, I think we need to look at kind of what the big picture is. First of all, Social Security, it's not enough. It never was meant to be enough, I'm sure. And inflation, what can you say about inflation? It just seems to go up every year. And now it seems like it's going up every day. So, and that's everywhere, not just the grocery store, but that's where we feel it, I think, the most as far as seniors go. It hits us hardest in the pocketbook as far as paying for groceries anymore. And the last thing I think that has the biggest effect on seniors, back in the early 80s to mid 80s, big companies thought of a great way to start saving money, and they started doing away with retirement pensions. So instead of contributing to a retirement fund for their employees, they just took that money and stocked up in their own pockets. So, pensions went away, and yes, it obviously became our responsibility to start doing the savings, or the majority of the savings, but a lot of us didn't. A lot of folks probably had the attitude, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start next week. So seniors start cutting back on stuff. And what's the first thing they cut back on? Groceries. They go from buying fresh vegetables to canned vegetables to buying vegetables in bulk that are, starting to, they're living on the edge. They're just about to go bad, but they're not quite there yet. And the worst part of it is some seniors are starting to skip meals now. Instead of having a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a nutritious, balanced diet, they'll go without eating breakfast, or maybe they'll have a little something for breakfast, and they'll skip lunch. It seems that most seniors are living primarily on just dinner. It seems that more seniors are becoming dependent on food banks or food pantries, however you want to look at it. And thank God that they're out there. Thank God there's people or organizations that have the resources to help seniors. And, you can just pull up in your car or walk up. Some places will even bring groceries to you. So that's kind of the big one, groceries. But what about healthcare? And again, just like Social Security, Medicare is not going to take care of 100% of your healthcare needs. It's there, and it's going to offset a great deal of it. But more and more seniors are, let's say, skipping doctor's appointments just because that copay is, too much. So they'll skip a doctor's appointment. Instead of going every 3 months, they'll go every 6 months. I've seen people cut their pills in half just to make them last twice as long. The only problem is you're only getting half the dosage that your doctor is prescribing for you. Not to mention the emotional toll that you're taking on yourself You know, do I take my medicine or do I buy groceries? You know, it's a dilemma. How about housing? You know, if you own your home, even if you own it outright, you still got property taxes to deal with. You've got homeowners insurance, and mine's getting outrageous. I mean, just totally outrageous. And maintenance. You know, water heater goes out, that's going to be a couple grand right there. So, you know, and it's, if you don't own your own home, let's say you're a renter, now you're at the mercy of the landlord. He can raise the rent. Every time your lease comes up, that rent can go up if that's what it amounts to. And the worst part is, retirement centers or retirement communities and assisted living centers, they're not the cheapest places for a person to move into. You know, it's like we live in a 55 plus community. Right now our HOA fee is $458 a month. This year we just got a notice it's going to go up 1%. So, you know, that's not too bad. There's a lot behind this story, but I'm not going to get into that right now. There is a move to try to sell to a ownership group. And if it does, then our HOA fee or our leaseholder rent, however you want to look at it, goes up to $850 the first year. And it will raise 4% each year after that. You know, so housing is a tough one. You just have to deal with it, and how people do it, I don't know. It's just scary. Let's talk about transportation. If you own a car, you've got gas to pay for. You got insurance to pay for. You got maintenance. You're always going to need, you know, an oil change. You're going to need new tires. I guarantee you a battery's going to go out sooner or later. So there's always going to be maintenance costs involved with that. And so what do? Sell your car and then rely on public transportation? Is that the answer? What about family? Can you rely on your family to take you to the grocery store? You know, my family, my children, they all have families. So I can't just pick up the phone and say, hey, can you run me to the Walmart or, you know, wherever I want to go? They've got busy schedules. They've got things going on in their life. So do you really want to be a burden to your family? I don't. Do I want to be tied down to public transportation or an Uber or, you know, whatever transportation systems out there? You know, and if you get rid of your car and you become dependent on others for your transportation needs, you've lost your independence. You lost your freedom. You can't just come and go as you please anymore. It's now you're at the will of others. I've got too many hobbies to begin with, but you know, that's an area that people are definitely cutting back on. I mean, groceries are going, drive the car, not drive the car. You know, if you've got hobbies, there's always going to be cost or expenses incurred. You have to pay for supplies, pay for equipment, whatever the case may be. So hi there. You know, so if you're into golfing or if you're into crafts, they're all expensive. There's all going to be some kind of expense involved, whether it's supplies or greens fees or more paint supplies or canvases, whatever your hobby may be. There's always going to be expenses. So if you're in the situation of having to cut back I got a feeling hobbies are going to be one of those things that you're going to cut back on pretty quick. But you know, besides the financial side of things, if you're cutting back on your hobbies, your hands are not moving, your joints are getting stiff, and you're not actively using your brain to keep things internally working right too. So there's a big loss even just with hobbies. So what are some things that will actually help? What are the things that you can do to maybe change this trend a little bit? Well, there's always senior discounts. You just have to look for them. Most places, they may put a little sign on the front door, but they're not going to advertise at great length that they advertise that they have a senior discount. If you ask them, they're going to tell you, yes, we do. They're probably going to tell you what day of the week it's on too. So, you know, shop the sales, shop the discounts. You know, there's an old saying that retail is for suckers. And I'm trying to live more along those lines. I try to only buy clothing, especially clothing, either at a secondhand store, thrift store, whatever, or if it's on sale or reduced. You know, it's like we're coming up on winter. Well, it's winter in Florida. It was 65 degrees this morning when I got up. I'm still wearing t-shirts and shorts, folks. So you know, they start marking down their t-shirts and their shorts and, you know, athletic shirts and things of that nature this time of year. Now's the time to buy it. You know, I'm wearing a $4 t-shirt I got at Walmart yesterday because it was reduced for clearance. There's SNAP, supplemental nutritional program, whatever it stands for. It's like food stamps, or it is food stamps, but obviously over the years they've changed the name. But again, there's nonprofits you can go to that have food pantries, food banks, things of that nature. There are places you can go for assistance if you need help with your power bill or your gas bill, depending on what part of the country you're in. We don't have gas here, but everything's electric, unfortunately. It just seems that seniors across the board, not everybody, but the majority of seniors, let me put it that way, they're giving up something. They're giving up a little bit of pretty much everything, really. Yeah, I think with our generation, there's a strength or a resilience, or maybe it's just plain old stubborn pride that we still have, and we're going to make it one way or another, whether we got to cut back to the bare bones. And if you do that, you need to be strong up here to survive those changes or those cuts in your lifestyle, if you will. It's tough. It's really tough. If you're cutting back, if you're in that survival mode, let me know what you're doing to cut back and how you're surviving, how you're getting along in life in general. Put it down in the comments. Maybe subscribe. Tell somebody what's going on. Tell them about this video. Make them aware of the situation. I'm pretty sure this is really across the board. So, folks, I hope this has been informational. I hope there's some information here that you can use. If you found it helpful, like I say, like and subscribe. Until next time, folks, y'all take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.